Alrighty, let's try this again. I did this once, but my storage was full, so nothing was recorded. So that's fun. Today we will be talking about The Serpent and the Rainbow, a book I recently finished that I heard of from Better Than Food Books, probably my favorite channel on YouTube. It's Clifford Lee Sargent. He does a great job. Go check out his channel if you haven't. And also today we will be showcasing Iridescence by Brockhampton. That's my album that I'm showing off today. And so yeah, let's get into it. This is by Wade Davis. He's a Harvard scientist, ethnobotanist, that is trying to come up with or find the zombie drug that brings people back to life. His financial backers are wanting him to do this so they can find a type of anesthetic for medical research, but he's mainly wanting to find it out of curiosity. So they're working hand in hand. And Wade Davis, he's still alive today, but he was born in 1953. This takes place around the 80s. And yeah, his goal is to find this for medical purposes, but he comes across a lot more discoveries. It's mainly, let's see, it's kind of like a Clive Cussler, Dirk Pitt novel, if you know what those are. A little adventure, like historical type of books. I know Better Than Food, he describes it as like as an Indiana Jones story, but it's crazy because this is nonfiction and everything in this is true. They're supposed to be. A lot of it's a little unbelievable, but after reading it all, I can't help but to believe it. But it reads as fiction, and it reads as like a fast-paced kind of adventure novel with interspersed chapters of history. And so what happens is, just to give you a little brief summary, Wade Davis flies to Haiti, finds some people that are willing to show him what's going on over there and how voodoo culture works, and he's fortunate enough to be taken to some rituals and shown how certain ritual practices take place and how certain potions and other powders are made to give psychological effects. And just to give you some direction, I'll read a little passage. Under certain circumstances, the individual may lose personality or that part of the brain that deals with thought and voluntary movement, and yet survive as a vegetable because the vital centers are intact. Precisely the Haitian definition of zombie, noted Klein, a body without character, without will. So that'll kind of give you an idea of what voodoo or Haitian idea of zombie is, not the Hollywood crawling out of the ground, wanting to eat brains type of zombie, but someone who has kind of left their body and is able to be controlled or taken control of by certain zombie gods, for lack of a better term. They call them Lao, L-O-A, which is expressions of God, which another passage that I've marked down will be not this one, it's the other one. Alright. Voodoo is not a, that's why they call voodoo in the book mainly, Voodoo, V-O-D-O-U-N, is not an animalistic religion. He told me the believer does not endow natural objects with souls. They serve the Lao, which by definition are multiple expressions of God. There is Agwe, the spiritual sovereign of the sea. There is Ugon, the spirit of fire and the metallurgical elements. But there is also Erzuli, the goddess of love, Gwade, the spirit of the dead, and Legba, the spirit of communication between all fears. The Voodooist, in fact, honors hundreds of Lao because he so sincerely recognizes all life, all material objects, and even abstract processes as a sacred expression of God. The God is the supreme force at the apex of the pantheon. He is distant, and it is with the Lao that the Haitian interacts on a daily basis. So this kind of gives you an idea of kind of what or how they see the world in this perspective. And one of my favorite things about this book mainly is just that it reads like a fiction novel with a bunch of information in there. I couldn't stop underlining stuff, and I learned so much just about Haitian culture and them coming from Africa, and then from Haiti to French colonialism, and from Haiti to New Orleans. A lot of that happens. And but the main thing I didn't like about it, I guess, is there's like a few chapters that are interspersed with history, which I do enjoy, but they seem to really drag on, and honestly I kind of forgot about the whole main story line that was going on during these chapters, because he dives really deep back into the 16th and 1700s and brings it all the way back into pretty much present day, and how and why these societies were made and how they work, and everything. So I'll read another little passage. She has been mounted by the divine horseman. She had become the spirit, the Lao, the spirit that the ceremony had been invoking, had arrived. And so a lot of these, there's kind of ended up talking about how there was two different types of zombies. One where they're taken over by Lao, and another one where they're being controlled as just kind of like an empty vessel. And whenever they're taken over by the Lao, they kind of they call them a horseman, or like the person taken over is a horse because they're being ridden by the Lao. And so what kind of got me into this in general was Zora Neale Hurston. I had to read her in college, and that kind of led me to another one of her books called Tell My Horse, which is that title comes from that idea of being taken over by the spirits. And then this kind of led me to this, because I think Better Than Foods does both these books, and I might have heard of Tell My Horse by him too. I don't really remember, but but yeah. So it kind of, and there's even a whole fucking chapter in this book called Tell My Horse, which is kind of dedicated to this book and her research, because she was really the first person in general to start doing research on Afro-American folklore and everything, and her experiences herself are absolutely insane. She kind of, and I plan on doing a video just over this book, but she kind of, instead of observing the rituals like Wade Davis does, she actually like participates in them, and really has some firsthand experiences. And so it was pretty insane getting both these perspectives and seeing how they line up and how they differ. But mainly, yeah, if you're interested in the history of Haiti or voodoo culture or anything like that, that was just kind of totally out of my frame of reference and perspective. I had never really looked into any of this stuff until this past year or two. And just with these two books is a lot of information about that type of stuff. So if you're interested in it, I would definitely suggest to check it out. And yeah, I think that's about it. I think my first video was a little better, and having to redo it, I didn't say probably as much as I did the first time, but yeah, until I think of a better name, peace.